Well, I think it was a real eye-opener when she turned 10, and so much of our focus had been on keeping her alive, and helping her to see another year, that when she turned 10 and we realized that we might have her for longer than we thought, we realized we had to start doing some planning. And there was no urgent need, but a couple years later we thought, well, let's look around. She's about 13. Let's look around and see what the adult options are so that we can plan ahead for transition, know what kind of, decide for ourselves what our goals for her were, or what the optimal solution would be. And so we spoke with the DDS case manager, and she showed us several group homes, and none of them were anywhere I'd want to leave my plants, never mind my precious kid, So we're like, okay, that's not an option. We kind of put that aside and said, well, then we have to get serious about planning for a home of her own or live-in care. So we started having those conversations, not every day at the table, but occasionally throughout the year, like, what are you thinking about this? Or I just heard about supportive living. Do you think that's something that we could consider? So we kind of started having the conversations probably when she's about 12, 13. And it really didn't go anywhere. We didn't have any concrete plans yet. But then her case manager called us a year later and said, we just got an opening in this great group home. You have to see it. And we went, nah, we saw some. We're not taking that route. Thanks, but no thanks. And she says, no, really, this is one of our premier group homes in the area. They have stable staff. The home is beautiful. The makeup of the other children in the home is great. You really need to go see this. And we're like, nah, just like, no, really? And so we did. We went. And everything she said was true. Stable staff. The home had been open for 7 years. All the residents, the other 5 residents, were there for those whole 7 years. The staff was very capable and kind and compassionate with the kids. There were activities for them. I spoke to some of the other parents that had children in the home, and they all raved about it. And we went, well, maybe we need to think about this. Do we want to wait until she's 18, which is kind of our plan, kind of adult normal transition age, and not know what options exist, or not have this option because this was the first opening in that home in 7 years? Or do we want to make the move now where we've got an amazing setup, where this group home is so well established and well run? And after some hemming and hawing, I would say I was like 70% no. I want her home for a long time. And then we found out, and this may not be true everywhere or in Massachusetts, but it was true in California at the time, that Katie could be home with us for up to like 14 days a month and still retain that placement. And that just flipped the odds. So now I was feeling like, well, shoot, if I can still have her half the time, half the month, it's just like getting really good respite, And that was the clincher for me. And so we decided to give it a try. We figured we'd give it 6 months, see how it works out. So we were lucky in that they were accommodating, and so we started to slowly transition her into the group home. We would bring her over, to meet the other kids and the staff. Next time she stayed for dinner, then she would go for one weekend day, and then the next week she'd go and spend an overnight. And all along we'd be providing guidance to the group home about who Katie is, how best to meet her needs, what her subtle communication was like, because Katie doesn't have words, or at that point she didn't even have signs or gestures. So you really had to watch her closely to kind of figure out what she needed, and warn them about the things she gets into, So by the time she actually was kind of residing there, they already had all this knowledge about her. And I did continue to have her home. She would be with us in general, from Friday night till Tuesday morning, and then she'd, after school, go back to the group home for those few days. And that gave me the opportunity to participate in Lissa's classroom and to have some downtime to sleep, because sleep was a biggie. We were sleep deprived for years. Katie's seizures are worse at night, and so it wasn't uncommon that we would only get 3, 4, 5 hours sleep. That takes a real toll, and that was one of the contributing factors for that kind of helped us decide on the group home.